a passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we challenge everything and everyone. And we are now on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. Greetings. This week, as every week, we're going to start our show with the hot topic. If you remember, the hot topic is the topic that either makes me hot under the collar or makes me kind of feel warm and fuzzy. Once we've introduced that hot topic, then we will introduce tonight's guest. We'll put him on my hot topic hot seat and see what he thinks. Before we get there, however, remember that you can be part of this conversation. If you go to facebook.com/mydrkevin, MYDRKEVIN, the first thing you do is you check the like button. Then right posted at the top is the description of today's guest, and then a place where you can leave comments, ask questions, and we will bring those questions on air with us. Remember, if you're not 100% happy with the way the world is going, then you have a responsibility to participate in the change of it. You do not change the world by taking no actions or not speaking out when the words matter. That means that not only do you have to point out a problem, but you have to try to come up with a solution. You have to speak out. You have to be part of the conversation, be part of the dialogue. Here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we give you a chance to do that. And you get to get your thoughts, your ideas, and your questions out there in front of millions of listeners. So this is your opportunity to step up, speak out, make a difference. Again, that's facebook.com/mydrkevin, MYDRKEVIN. Make sure you like the fan page when you're there, because I'm a likable guy, even if I'm the only one that thinks so. Just trust my opinion. Today's hot topic. Well, you know, I'm splitting my hot topic up into two different things that I posted this week on my line. And one of them was a meme. They're both memes. One was pushing for term limits for U.S. Congress. And it said, well, the media keeps you distracted with bathrooms. Social Security recipients did not receive a cost of living increase in 2016. Congress took $150 billion from the Social Security Retirement Trust, and Congress says they need a raise. $174,000 isn't enough to live on. Distraction is a politician's best friend. The other one I posted, and again, both of these you can find on my Dr. Kevin line. In the last 5 years, the 200 most politically active companies in the U.S. spent $5.8 billion influencing our government. Those same companies got $4.4 trillion in taxpayer support, earning a return of 750 times their investment. So this is what has me, guess what? It's not warm and fuzzy. Yeah, this is not a warm and fuzzy. This is a hot under the collar. Because we see this, we hear this, it is pushed out there. They can't even hide their shenanigans anymore. Yet we still keep doing the same thing, returning 80% of the people to office, not pushing to get term limits pushed through, not pushing to get rid of lobbyists, not pushing to change the game so the deck is not all stacked against us. So that's my hot under the collar. I'm going to introduce my guest, and then I'm going to see what he thinks. I want to know what you think. Come to Facebook.com/mydrkevin. Let us know what you think. And I want some solutions. How can we change this? Because if we don't, it's going to kill us. So our guest today is Leo Knighton Tellerico. I pronounced that wrong after all the years I've known you. You can slap me. Tellerico.
Yes, it is.
Tellerico. I know better. I know
you know.
He's been a full-time professional astrologer, teacher, crisis counselor, spiritual guide, transformational counselor, and writer since 1885. I'm sorry, 1985. That was your last lifetime.
Yes.
He has also spoken at many conferences and seminars and radio and TV shows. He hosted his own radio talk show on a radio station in Santa Fe, New Mexico from 2000 to 2004. You can find out more about him and read all of his wisdom at spiritualtherapy.wordpress.com. We also have that link, so on My Dr. Kevin, so you can just click through on the link, where he does a blog called Perspectives from the Sky. Leo, how are you?
Oh, pretty good, Dr. Kevin. Pretty good.
It's good to have you back. You were on one of my earlier incarnation shows.
Wow, I think that has to be like 5 years ago, maybe more.
More. I've been on air now for over a dozen years. So I can't even tell you. They all blur together after a while.
Well, it's when you were back here in Maine still.
Yeah, that was at least 7 years ago.
Yeah, oh, wow. Time flies.
It sure does. And it's so funny because time flies, but you nor I get any older. I don't know how we do that, but, we tend to manage it.
It's true. I saw you driving the car and you stopped me on the street to ask me to be on the show, and you looked younger than before.
Oh, and you see why I asked him on the show. So, Leo, what do you think of all of this, the stuff I was talking about, the distraction? We get distracted by dead-end hotbed issues. Well, they do things like Social Security recipients don't receive any living increase, but Congress took $150 billion from the Social Security Retirement Trust. What can we do, and what do you think about this? And from an astrological perspective, is there change coming? Will these towers fall on these people, or are we stuck with them forever?
Well, there is a system that runs our lives, and that system cares more about perpetuating itself than anything else. So solving problems that will help people, that's not on the top of the list. Doing things that are caring for the populace, not high on the list. Of the people, by the people, for the people, not on the list. What's only on the list is keeping things intact as they are, keeping privilege and power in the hands of people that have it now, and they want them to keep it forever. Astrologically speaking, and I've talked about it 7 years ago even, we are on the verge of an Aquarian age. And what we can do is change our consciousness, change our beliefs and our attitudes aligned with this Aquarian age. And as we do so, we change the world. Now, a lot of people believe these powers are so powerful, it doesn't matter what anybody does. It's not true. That's like believing that a system is stronger than God or stronger than the universe or stronger than Goddess. It's not. It's just an artificial construction made by people that are looking for power and ego. We have the power as people, if we are committed to it and with strong intention, to change ourselves, and as we change ourselves, change the world.
Well, and we certainly do. And if anybody knows about a very powerful goddess, it's you. By the way, say hello to Deborah for me.
Oh, thank you. I will say hi to her.
Because as far as powerful goddesses goes, she's right up there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they keep us apathetic and depressed by convincing us it's too big a problem to solve. And you know and I know that that's not true. But as long as we have enough of the masses hanging around, floating in apathy, just deciding that it's too much effort, it all works in their favor.
The fact that, regardless if you agree with either one of them or not, the fact that people are following Donald Trump and following Bernie Sanders speaks to the possibility that human beings are waking up to see their own power. That's a positive to me, because the last time I saw that happen was back in the 60s. Back in the 60s and 70s, people believed that they had the power as people to change the world. And I'm starting to have that feeling again. And it's aligned with the fact that we are now ever closer to the Aquarian age. It's inception.
Yeah. So now, very interestingly, you listed Trump as an example and Sanders, but not Clinton.
No, because I think Clinton is bought out by the system. I don't see her as bringing together of the people, by the people, and for the people at all.
Okay. So, but do you think that, I mean, would a Trump presidency turn stuff upside down, or is he not even in of himself as much of a blusterer as he is? And I would say the word bullshitter, but I'm not supposed to on air, so I won't say bullshitter. That's bullshitter, because you're not supposed to.
But in and of himself, he's merely a narcissist. I mean, that's the truth. But nevertheless, his presence in America is shaking things up so that people are getting out of the old mindsets. The old, it's either this or that, and they're starting to see outside the box. That's what I like about not him, but what he represents.
Okay. And so you don't think that a female president would shake the box as much because you think that she's all bought and paid for?
I think that being a female would be the only way that she would shake the box up. But I don't, I would love to have a female president, but she's so corrupt and so bought out by the corporations that the box would be stronger than ever. Only the fact that she's a woman would be the only thing that takes us outside the box.
Yeah, well, and we get to outside the box in the next segment. So I'm going to let you take my listeners outside the box in about 3 minutes. We have about 20 seconds before the music starts coming on. Well, it's interesting. I have thought many times that I still think that there is a possibility, and I'm just saying a possibility, that she'll do what it takes to get elected, but that she will then go after her legacy. That there's no way she will stay bought and paid for. And that could just be wishful thinking.
God, I hope if she does get elected that you're right. That would be wonderful.
We'll be right back. Yep.
Feed your soul with Waves of Consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she is feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatesPR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we challenge everything and everyone here on OMTimes Radio, where we change the world one ohm at a time. Today's guest is Leo Knighton Tellerico. He has lived and practiced in Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin, San Francisco, Santa Fe, and now Portland, Maine. Leo started his metaphysical life with Silva Mind Control in Chicago, a meditation and psychic development course. He became co-owner of the Midwest franchise in the 80s. We cleared that up. That is the 1980s, though I first said 1880s. Leo continues his practice. See, you look really good for your age. No,
Yes.
Leo continues his practice now while being the co-director of Spiritual Renaissance Center. He writes a weekly blog forecast at spiritualtherapy.wordpress.com, and he can be reached at soulus@aol.com. That is soul, S-O-U-L-U-S, soulus@aol.com. Love that handle. Leo believes we are in a transition crisis as our consciousness is transforming to meet the energies of the age of Aquarius. I couldn't help myself, which we're ever so close to now. Leo, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome back, I should say.
Yes.
So in this segment, I like you to take my listeners outside the box. It can be about anything. It can be about astrology. It can be about mind control. It can be about the best places to eat in Madison, Wisconsin. I don't care. Where do you want to stretch my listeners' comfort zones?
Well, the whole idea of evolution is just founded on a weak paradigm. We're told that evolution is based on either thousands and thousands of years of mutation from little one-celled creatures to become human beings, taking over 1 million years. That's one way of looking at it. And the other way of looking at evolution is that some god with a beard on a throne decided that he was going to create this world in 7 days, and that's how the world was made. It's all bunk. Both sides are bunk. The absolute science is bunk, and the spiritual is bunk. One possibility that was delivered by a man named Zecharia Sitchin is that there's a planet at the furthest reaches of our solar system called Nibiru. And that planet, thousands of years ago, as it makes its orbit comes close to Earth once every 36,000 years, I believe. And as it did many thousands of years ago, they got off of their spaceship or whatever they were on and decided to come onto the Earth to get gold off the Earth because they were at a shortage of gold, which makes everything work on Nibiru, supposedly. And what they found here were more Neanderthal-type human beings, or not even human beings yet, and they weren't satisfied that they could, as slaves, dig up the gold for them because they weren't going to do it themselves. So then they did the kind of sexual or mixing hybrid so that there could be a new kind of person. That person would be part god or goddess, which is what they were. They were supposed to be giants too, and half creature. Now, if you look at us as humans, I could make you a pretty good case that we are exactly that. We're half divine and we're half just creature. And that's what we've always been, and that's what we continue to be. And how we balance those two scales is what makes us human beings. He got this information, Dr. Kevin, by looking at the petroglyphs on the walls of Sumeria. He studied them for years and years and years. There were actually rocket ships on these walls. How could they have had rocket ships? There was actually knowledge of the solar system and where the planets all sat. How could they have had that back in the Sumerian times, which is what, 2,500, 2,400 years ago? There's no way they could have known that. It's because these gods and goddesses came from this other planet, came down here and brought this knowledge to humanity. So not only is the idea of evolution all bunk, both sides of it, but history is all bunk.
So this is, and I'm familiar with some of his work. This is not a new name to me, but it may be a new name to some of my listeners. And so my job is to play my listeners, to play my listeners' questioner.
Yes.
So he spent a long time, but what you're saying is that this single man somehow was the only person that ever got all the answers?
No, there's a whole lot of people that believe this right now.
Okay.
But if you just go back to what we both believe, and that's that what they throw out to us is all just bunk to keep their power, why would there not be other ideas to how the world was made or how the world was created or the paradigm we have for living? There has to be something else. So I'm not saying he's got the truth, but I'm saying he's opening things up so that we can look at things in a whole new way. There's other people that have other ideas of how things happened. But to just accept it the way that it is, that it's either this evolution that's been thousands of years developing humans, or that there's a creator that created us in 7 days, why should we accept either one of those? Why couldn't we open up our mind to other possibilities?
Absolutely. And, I've never been a big fan of the whole 7-day thing. I mean, there are times I can't even, there are some times I can't even get dressed in 7 days. Forget about make a universe, and I'm as divine as they come. Yeah. So the whole 7-day thing has never resonated to me. Then again, I wasn't raised in a household with the Bible, so I kind of stumbled across that when I'd already created enough critical thinking skills to go, what? Really? Huh? You're kidding me, right? Joke. Evolution. Do you feel like we do have some evolution going on the planet? I mean,
without a doubt.
Change? What?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt. We're in the process of a really important turning point in evolution, because right now, if we don't evolve to the next level, in my estimation, we're going to destroy ourselves and the planet. Because right now, we're still operating under might makes right, dog against dog, for who can get everything and take the most. That's one of the big paradigms that we live under. That can only take us to our destruction, nowhere else.
Well,
go on.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say many people on this planet are evolving beyond all that. They realize that everything is connected, not separate. They realize that we are all one. And they are using that consciousness to take us to the next level and into the Aquarian age.
Well, and, and some of it, I mean, of course, as you may or may not remember, I've been talking for years about ADD as part of the evolutionary process, and a step up in a step forward in humanity. I don't want to say up because that sounds a little arrogant. And heaven forbid I should ever sound arrogant, right, Leo? Yeah. But anyways, but it's not like this is the first time we have destructed the known world. We've destructed the known world a couple of times, and that evidence is really coming out to play. I mean, you're seeing it more and more, and even quote unquote in legitimate magazines and by legitimate sources.
Right.
Hey, I love those magazines. They work really well when I run out of toilet paper. So, but that are saying, wait a second, we're discovering 10,000-year-old advanced civilizations now in caves and in waterbeds and stuff. And what happened to them? So, I mean, we have self-destructed before. Does he take into account that humanity has basically peaked and then pissed its pants and destroyed everything?
Well, I believe the difference now is that we're at the changing of ages. That's kind of scientific. And now, in order to move into this new age and what it represents, we have to evolve, or we will destroy ourselves again. Maybe at other turning points at other ages is when this has happened. I don't know. But we're at a turning point in a new age, and we can either accept these new values for the new age, which have a lot to do with connection, and we're all of the same family and things like that. We can either accept something like that, or we can destroy ourselves. Perhaps it has been done before, but right now we're at a turning point where it's going to go one way or the other.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. We are at a turning point. We're at a turning point where humanity is going to transcend or descend into a start over.
That's exactly what I see.
Yep. Absolutely. And, I did all that trans-channeling for years, and I trans-channeled aliens. And I have my own personal pathway is that we definitely have had outside support and at times interference in the evolution of the Earth and its humanity. There's too much evidence otherwise.
I believe that.
Yeah, so it's there. I'm not as familiar with the work as you are, but the premise, I couldn't agree with more. Now, the thing is, we've got about a minute and a half before the music's going to cut us off. What one step would you have somebody take to move into that next consciousness?
Meditate. Make meditation a regular part of your life, because it's the one thing that can stop the chattering mind and take you into being connected to the source. And it's from the source that our evolution comes from. So I would say if there's one thing that a person could do right now to help them, it's not the cure-all at all, but it'll help you to get centered at the source where all of the new consciousness is coming from.
Well, and isn't one of the things that we have to let go of is our addiction to one-size-fits-all miracle?
Without a doubt.
I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but we clearly have a very strong generations of people on the planet now that just don't think they should have to work that hard.
No, I know.
And the thing is, what starts out as work commutes itself into joy, and what starts out as, holding you back is what throws you forward.
That's right.
Okay, we'll be right back. We're going to have Leo take you behind the curtain.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Live with medium Lisa Phoenix, Mediumship Messages and Musings, explores mediumship and all things metaphysical. Lisa Phoenix invites you to reach above and beyond your everyday experiences, to explore new dimensions in the spirit world. She will do live readings to connect callers to their loved ones in spirit, shares engaging stories and teachings from her own personal experience, and will have intriguing conversations with other mediums, spiritual teachers, and healers to help you understand the metaphysical world so you can connect to these forces in your day-to-day life. Join your host on this magical and metaphysical journey into the world of spirit every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we challenge everything and everyone here on OMTimes Radio. This week we have I think of you as a lifetime professional astrologer. I know that that's not quite true.
Almost.
What?
Almost.
Leo has been a full-time professional astrologer, teacher, crisis counselor, spiritual guide, transformational counselor, and lap dancer since 1985.
Oh, you gave me away. Damn.
Oh, I was just seeing if you were listening.
That's outside the box. That's outside the box.
He has also spoken at many conferences and seminars and radio and TV shows. You can follow his weekly forecast at spiritualtherapy.wordpress.com, or you can contact him at soulus, 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 at AOL.com. So, Leo, two things. First of all, I think I created your permission once before for this, but I'm going to ask your permission on air, and then you can say yes, but if you don't really mean it, you can tell me when we get off air. I think that I'd like to start obviously posting your thing from the perspective that clearly it's your thing, your link, all your information on it. But I think I'd like to start sharing it on my fan page. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
So you'd share my perspectives from the sky on your fan page?
Yeah, my page. So,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to start putting it in my head, because I think I did that once before a little bit, and then the world got crazy because we had the conversation, and I was like, this is great. I'd like to share this with my people. And you were like, that's fine. And then the world got crazy, and I stopped doing it, and I don't remember. But looking at it, getting ready for the show, I was like, yeah, I need to share this with my people.
No, that'd be great. But, by the questions you ask me, I know your people are people that will resonate with what I write.
Yeah. And if nothing else, it's going to make them think, and that's what I'm all about.
Yeah. Right.
You can come out by disagreeing with me. It's all right. I have all the patience in the world for people who are wrong. No. Okay, so this segment here is called Behind the Curtain, and it starts with a quiz. And I don't think I used to have the quiz, so you're going to have to pass the quiz to move on. Mm-hmm. What movie did this come from? Ignore the man behind the curtain.
Citizen Kane.
The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, the Wizard of Oz, I should know that.
The Wizard of Oz. It's
yes.
Dorothy and the Scarecrow and all of her friends went in, and Toto pulled the curtain back. So you could see that the great and powerful Oz was really a con man from Kansas.
Yes. Well, now I remember it as you bring it up to me again. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got a lot of con men from Kansas that are trying to be the great, powerful Oz today.
That's the truth.
So Behind the Curtain is where you take people behind the curtain. You share something with them and give them a truth or something that you see as true that they're probably being bamboozled on, or if they saw it as true, could really change their life. What would you like to share with them?
Well, history, which I think shouldn't even be called that, because it's his story is what it means. And it is his story because it's all based on wars. History is based on one war to the next war, to the next war, to the next war. And all the wonderful things that human beings do or are part of aren't part of our history books. So, in fact, whoever wins a war writes the history books. Whoever loses the war has no voice in the history books. Native Americans don't have any voice in what our history books are. The Japanese, who we obliterated with bombs, nuclear bombs, they have no voice in our history. Our history books are based on the way we see, the way we want to program people to believe the world is.
Yeah. And the key thing for there is, like you said, his story. And that's what it is, a story.
Yes.
It's just a story. And it's a story that oftentimes will not let the truth interfere with its telling.
Right, exactly.
First of all, we have completely, for hundreds of years, dismissed all of the stuff that women did in that story.
Exactly.
And we've changed that a little bit. But if you were to look back on his story, and there's a part that you know or have an insight to that's a truth that is so different from what we're being told that would make people rethink themselves, America, whatever, what part of that history would it be?
God, there'd be so much. But since I brought up about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that'd be a big one. Like, we're taught that there was no choice, that President Truman had to drop the bomb on them because they would never give up. That's just a bunch of BS. They were close to giving up. They were close to giving up. And even if they weren't going to give up, why would you bomb and kill couple 100,000 innocent civilians in order to end a war? There's no excuse for it.
Yeah, and it's not one of our more proud, shining moments in history.
But a lot of people really think of it as a proud moment in history. That's the part. You and I know it's not, but there are people that really believe that it was a proud moment because we showed how powerful we are as a country.
Yep, all of our...
So that no one will mess with us in the wild, wild west.
You know, it's established our places, red, white, and bully.
Exactly.
Yep. You know, we spill lots of blood, red, from a place of self-purity, white, and we're bullies. Red, white, and bully.
Yeah.
So, well, there was a recently, this clip has been running around on my Facebook, and because of the extensiveness of the different groups and stuff I connect with and all of the things, I've seen it several times. It seems I'm popping back up. But have you seen that Jeff Daniels clip when he was doing the show, The Newsroom, where he talks about why America is no longer great?
It is a great, great piece.
Yeah.
Great piece.
Why do you think so many people are staying so apathetically blind? I see more are waking up, but they're waking up in that kind of place where, you know, if you actually have been sleeping for a long time in a very dark place and you wake up, the first time you see the light, it hurts your eyes.
Yeah.
And your tendency is to shy away from it. And
Exactly.
I see people waking up, but the light is so scary that they're batting their eyes and they're trying to somehow keep a hand on the darkness. What can we do for these apathetic people? What can we do for these people that are waking up and coming out of the cave, but the light is just a little too much for them?
Yeah, it's not easy for them. And, you know, I see it in my individual clients that I work with, healing client that I'm working with healing, that, they don't give up the idea that their mom and dad were perfect, even when their mom and dad were abusive. They can't take in the fact that their mom and dad weren't these perfect human beings who treated them absolutely wonderfully. So, you know, the only way that you can get to them is you can't just shatter it all at once. You've got to throw in little bits at a time that open up their minds to the fact that it isn't the way that they thought it was. You got to be gentle about it. You can't ram it down their throats because they won't take it that way. So the only thing I would say is, you gently and lovingly let people know that the way that they've been seeing things is just not correct. And also let them know that by seeing the truth, it's actually going to make their life and the people that are being exposed, all the lives will be better ultimately. Because when you open up to love and connection, everybody's life is better. And you open up to truth, everybody's life is better. Love and truth are what really run the universe, no matter what we're taught. And when people can be truly exposed to love and truth, everybody's life gets better.
Well, and, and sometimes people don't understand that divine love can feel tough.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And divine truth is often painful.
Very much so.
But, I used to talk about a lot about I can give you truth. I can give you a stick called truth. And I can do one or two things. I can give it to you in a way in which you will use it like a cane to go over rough terrain and climb difficult mountains, or I can beat you with it. It's still truth.
Yeah.
But when we look at this, if you can't accept the fact that your parents are abusing you, or abused you, and you can't accept the fact that it wasn't all your fault, or you just didn't get what you deserved.
Right.
Because that, you know how that goes. You and I both worked with people for years.
That's right.
Is it any surprise that these are the same people that keep on supporting a political system that abuses them?
Exactly. They're the same people, but I mean, they don't deserve our disdain because they're afraid. They're afraid to see the truth. They're afraid to wake up.
Yeah, and that's just it. That goes back to that. It hurts them, and the truth hurts them. The light hurts them at first.
Yeah,
and so they shy away from it, and then they can get angry, and they can be like a wounded animal, and they can lash out.
Oh, wow, very much so.
Yeah. But there is still a point when you're dealing with a wounded animal in the corner that you know is dying from their wounds. Even if they stay alive, they're dead.
Yeah.
That you sometimes have to take more assertive action in a loving way.
In a loving way. I agree.
Yeah. The minute I get assertive, people always say, well, what happened to loving? I'm like, no, they're not mutually exclusive. In fact, love should be assertive at times.
Absolutely.
We are getting ready to go back on break again. Leo, again, spiritualtherapy.wordpress.com. You can go click on it, read about the weekly wisdoms. I was reading about some of these weekly wisdoms. I can't wait for this Mercury retrograde to get over.
A few more days on.
I'm apartment hunting, Leo. Not a good time.
Well, in 3 more days, it'll be okay. Sunday, it goes back direct.
Yeah, I know. And I have an appointment to see a new place on Monday. Hopefully.
Good.
So our music is coming up. We'll be right back. And we're going to have Leo share with us what he thinks is a load of crap that's going on in the world today.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one Om at a time. Leo, you still with me?
I am.
You can find out more about Leo at spiritualtherapy.wordpress.com, or you can contact him through his email, which is soulus, SOULUS, at AOL.com. He has practiced being Chicago. He's practiced being Madison, Wisconsin, and he's practiced being San Francisco. He practiced being Santa Fe, and now he's practicing being Portland, Maine. Which one did you like the best?
Wow. Well, at the time I was at each one of them, I loved it. I mean, probably if I look back now, I'd probably say San Francisco was the one that I loved the most.
I love the city by the bay.
And, maybe it was the time of life I was at, or but I don't think so. I think it was partly the time of life I was at because I was just growing and becoming. But it was also just, it's a place where anything and anyone, whatever you are, you can be it.
Yep.
And I loved it there.
No.
Like 10 years.
Yep. So did I. I've never lived there, but I've spent chunks enough of time to know that I really loved the place. And have always kept it on my list as a place I'd be willing to move to.
Yeah. You would love it. It's just too expensive is the only problem.
So yeah, wicked expensive. So this is What a Load of Crap. You can point out anything that you think that's going on in the world that you want to say to people, wake up, this is a load of crap. What would you like to share?
I'm going to get a lot of people that disagree with me on this one. But we're told that if you don't vote Democrat for the Democrats or the Republicans, that you're wasting your vote. And I remember back in 2000, I voted for Ralph Nader, and I had so many people dislike me during that time period because, they said that people that voted for Ralph Nader gave the election away to George Bush. And I understand how they think, and there is truth to that. But I also believe that if we keep buying into the fact that there's only these two parties, if we keep believing that that's our only choices, that we're going to be limited forever. We're going to keep getting the lesser of two evils all the time because that's what usually it is. Oh yeah, I don't really like either one of them, but I'm going to vote for the one that the Supreme Court. We're going to get the Supreme Court nominees we want. That logical thinking totally makes sense to me. But underlying that all, I believe that the only way you really change the world is by voting for who you really believe in is going to be good for the world. And if more and more people do that, that's really what's going to change the world. So even like now, if you don't like the choices Republican and Democrat, there are some decent choices, Libertarian and Green Party. And there's other parties too, or you can write somebody in. But sometimes the principle is just as important as the practical application.
Hey, I'm all about write-ins. It's Kevin.
I just might do that. What party should I say you're from?
All night long?
All right.
The party of discontent.
I like all night long. That's good.
Well, I've been talking for ages about what some of the solutions I think to our issues are in politics these days. And part of them is we have to get rid of the two-party system because they basically use the American people and the American Treasury as their own private sandbox that they pass out.
Exactly.
But I have mentioned a number in the past, but I'm not going to mention it now until I see what yours is. What do you think might be a good, solid number of active political parties that might help break up some of this? Do you have any idea? Have you thought about it in that?
You mean how many political parties I think that people can vote for in order to break things up, like five parties, 6 parties, things like that? Well, I know in Italy they have like, I don't know exactly how many, but they got 9, 10 parties, and it kind of breaks things up a little bit. I'd say maybe 5 or 6. Do you have a certain number that you believe?
I think that we need a minimum of 5.
Yeah.
What's
your thinking behind that?
Well, I think that with a minimum of 5 parties, that it's not going to be, there's not a ability to line up in such a ways on a consistent basis to create and hide the mischief that 2 parties can. I don't know why. I just have always felt like it needed to be an odd number of parties.
Makes sense. But in order for this to work, we need debates that include all the parties.
Oh, absolutely. Well, in order for our country to work, we need to get rid of lobbyists, put in term limits.
Yeah.
And we also need to hold politicians to a higher standard, not a lower one, of what they're allowed. I know people have really gone off on me when I've said this, but when you're a U.S. senator or a House of Representatives or a president, and you actually break a law after we, the people, have been paying you to uphold and continue our laws, right. I think that there should. You want to talk about mandatory prison sentences? That's where we should have them.
Exactly.
It's spending selling a nickel bag on the street corner.
Exactly.
If we put in mandatory sentencing for the first time you take money for your vote and you're caught is a minimum 10-year jail sentence, you lose all of your privileges. You gave up all of your rights. You can never be elected again. I mean, we need some hard, fast, serious
I totally agree.
rules in place.
I totally agree. We're filling our prisons up with our African American brothers and sisters for, like you said, a nickel bag. That's what the prisons are filled up with, instead of filling them up with people that are really hurting the human family. And those are the people that you just mentioned. And they ought to get the book thrown at them.
Yep. So what can we do as people out here? What can we do to shift this? We can meditate. We can become more spiritually aware. I think I do both of those things pretty well. What else can I do, Leo? Do you think? What else do people like you and I what can we do to make a difference in this?
Well, we gather with other people that think the same way, and we talk about these things, and we establish little groups. We get on the air together like you and I are, and we just make a little bit of a dent. I mean, there's that expression that it's true, even though it's used all the time. I need to become the changes I want in the world. That's ultimately what's going to change the world. I know it's trite as it sounds. It's really true. And sometimes there's nothing else you can do. You can also gather with other people that believe like you do and create groups that are going to make change. But those are the only two things I feel that you can do. And, of course, change your consciousness.
Okay. So do you have any events coming up, any classes, anything? We've got about 3 more minutes before we're going to go off air. I want to see if there's anything from that standpoint that you would like to share.
I've got a webinar series that I'm going to start in August. It's going to be based on transformational astrology. So what it'll do, it'll help people to understand their own transformational process as can be determined by the planets that come into your life through transit. And I'll just spend a lot of time discussing Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which are the ambassadors in the farthest parts of the heavens that are going to show us the way into the Aquarian age. So we'll be talking about the Aquarian age, we'll be talking about personal transformation of consciousness, and we'll be talking about transformation of consciousness on a global scale too, kind of things that are going to happen in the world. Or what kind of conflicts are there going to be? What's going to happen with the economy? We'll talk about all these things. And you know, Kevin, that I talk about a lot of these things in my weekly blog too. But we'll talk about them in a lot more depth at the webinar series, and that'll be in August. You can find out more about it by getting on my blog and reading about what the dates are going to be.
Okay, well, and we have the link right to Leo's blog here on My Dr. Kevin, Facebook.com/MyDrKevin, MYDRKEVIN. So you can come here and click right through. Make sure you like me along the way.
And then I'll be on your site before very long with Perspectives from the Sky. That'll be great.
Yep, I'm going to start posting that through my fan page. I'm going to try to see if I can get it in my head. Of course, I'm saying this as a Mercury is still retrograde. I'm going to try to get it in my head to be doing this on a weekly basis. When does it usually come out?
By usually Eastern time, like about 3 o'clock on Saturday.
On Saturday.
3 p.m.
Okay. So I'll have to try to look at it. I'll put it on my Monday morning list.
That sounds good.
I've made a shift in my my life as of recently that I actually get to have a life, which means unless I'm teaching a special event, I just don't do weekends anymore.
We need it. We need our downtime too.
We need our downtime. So, Leo, I want to thank you very much for coming. Again, Leo Knighton Tellerico has been a full-time professional astrologer, teacher, crisis counselor, spiritual guide, transformational counselor, and writer since 1985. He's spoken at many conferences and seminars and radio and TV shows. He's hosted his own radio talk show on a radio station in Santa Fe, New Mexico from 2000 to 2004. He currently is the co-director of the Spiritual Renaissance Center in Portland, Maine. And you can find out more about him at spiritualtherapy.wordpress.com. So we're going to the music's going to come out in a minute. You can go now or you can hold on. I just have a last announcement that I'm making to my fans. Starting the week of June 6th, pay attention, guys, because I and a good longstanding associate and friend of mine, Angie D'Anjou, are launching our TV show starting the first week of June called Web of Light. That's Web of Light. So keep your eyes open and pay attention. And Leo, thank you for coming. And I look forward to getting together with both of you when I get up to Portland next.
I would love that. And I really appreciate being on your show. You asked some great questions. Thanks, Kevin.
Bye.